When it comes to show flow, he always hits his mark. The only thing sharper than his cues are his comebacks. It's Event About It with Steve Evans.
Hi, Event About It fans. This episode is a little different in the best way possible. We recorded from the cozy chaos of the production RV camper on location at a working ranch that was turned into a music festival site. No studios, no producer, and definitely no sound engineer in the corner. So yes, the audio might be a little rougher than our usual polish, but the story's absolutely worth it. From LED wall fills to building a Guinness World Record breaking cardboard box, our guest brought the kind of behind the scenes realness you don't get in a studio. This episode is as raw and real as it gets. And if you thought this episode was wild, wait till you check out the after show. That was recorded while bouncing through the hills in a side-by-side. So pop in your headphones, buckle up, embrace the ambiance, and let's get into it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Event About It. I'm your host, Megan Martin, and our guest this week is best known for turning dusty fields into headline-worthy events that rock so hard even Rolling Stone said, "We see you." Welcome to the studio, Steve, or thank you for having me in the studio today.
You're in my fancy trailer here in Montana under the big sky. It's great to see you.
No, so tell us a little bit about where we are today and what you're working on this weekend.
This is a labor of love. We're in Whitefish, Montana right now under the big sky, which my good friend Johnny Shockey founded. It's amazing. 25,000 people, 2 stages. We have Mumford & Sons coming this year. Tyler Childers, who's a friend of the ranch. And it's amazing. We're on a 350-acre working Wagyu cattle ranch that we turn into a music venue once a year. And, I am lucky enough to lead the team that runs the site, does the production, and it's fantastic. I'm in my happy space.
I love it. We're going to definitely get into and tour around and talk about what it takes to actually put on a festival in the middle of a ranch, like it's a field. But I'm curious, though, Show Imaging's mission, authentically enrich people's lives by producing world-class experiences, inclusive of all. You guys are known for not saying no to the crazy stuff. So when you started Show Imaging, you broke off from another company, started your own in 2009. Why was that mission and being the guys that always, or gals, I should say, that wouldn't say no to the crazy ideas?
Because the crazy ideas are fun, right? I grew up in theater. I'm a theater rat at heart. And then when I came to university, my parents said, don't get a job, just study. First thing I did was go join the audio crew at the student union. I didn't really know audio. And what I learned working at a university is I learned how to run an arena. I later went to be full-time there. I ran an arena, a fine arts program, the concert series. So I learned venue operations, I learned how to book, I learned how to mark up a contract, I learned how to place security, and then I started working on a festival in San Diego called San Diego Street Scene. And I was 20-0, and the owner handed me a stack of contracts. Really, they're all digital now, right? And he goes, sure. You should just run through these and make sure they look okay. And I'm like, I've never marked up a contract before, but okay. When you're young, you don't say no. And, I later became the entertainment director of that. And from that, I learned, and I look back on that, and it's terrifying to think of young me and the lack of experience I had. I didn't know how to safely do a lot of things. I knew to put barricade up, but not really to put, a lot of thought or rubber mats under it so it didn't slide. And so you look back on that, and it's shaped who I am as a human now. When Show Imaging, fast forward later in life, and I realized the joke of Show Imaging is SI is C, yes, in Spanish. And so the joke became, Show Imaging always say yes. It says yes. Because I wanted to be a company that took on reasonable challenge, and also really had some fun and did things in unique spaces. You said dusty fields. Give me a dusty field. Give me a warehouse that no one's ever been in.
Yeah.
Tell me that it can't be done. Those things are not just to prove that it can be done, but I think at the end of the day, when we're trying to create unique experiences that are accessible to all, I think it's really hard to do that in a ballroom. Sure, we make great money doing a business meeting in a ballroom with 2 screens, but really where we can make a difference is here.
Absolutely. I mean, people are Instagramming 2 screens in a ballroom like they are at a festival.
It's so boring.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're going to play a fun game called Cue It or Screw It. So I'm going to throw out some show curveballs, and you have two choices. You're going to cue it up and do it and make the magic happen, or screw it and shut it down. No NDAs, no sugarcoating, straight up. This is why we drink after loadout energy.
How about we establish that I say yes?
I mean, let's test it. Let's see how yes willing you are.
All right.
Okay, first one. Fire marshal shows up 10 minutes before doors open and says the haze machine has to go.
Turn the haze machine off.
Just
Show goes on.
Screw it.
Yeah, my lighting guy yells at me, but they do that all the time anyway.
Okay.
That's a real one.
The client just sent you 47 slide deck for a 10-minute keynote that starts in 2 hours.
Yeah, my team hates me. I say we do it.
Do it.
All day long.
I want to know how that speaker's going to get through 47 slides in 10 minutes.
Well, here's the other thing, is you cut the bad ones and make it accidental and you get yelled at afterwards. Our job is to make people look good, right?
That is.
So just because it's difficult doesn't mean we get to say no.
Yeah.
So there's a big difference between impossible and it really sucks.
Like the fire marshal shutting down a haze machine.
It's like, that's annoying. You can't see the beams of the lights, but like at the end of the day, are you going to cancel the show over it? No.
Okay.
You're going to fight with the fire marshal who could make your life much worse?
Sponsor demands their logo be added to the opening video, but it's already locked and cued in.
You tell them yes, don't do it, and say sorry afterwards.
I think that's how many times we've all done that, right?
I mean, at some point, sponsors are the worst, but they also pay the bills, right? So as you get older, young Steve on the street scene thought that, the sponsors were a nightmare because there was always some beer garden in the middle of where I was trying to do something else. But like genuinely speaking, if I've done my job, they become a very important part of the process because they're the ones that are paying for us to be here.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. The entire show file is on one USB, and the client shows up with it 15 minutes before showtime.
We're just going to pretend that it's not a disguised media server because we might have a show problem, and tell them that we just need to hold doors for a few minutes while we ingest it and pray to God that they don't suck.
There you go. Client wants to swap sessions and flip the show order because they feel like starting with energy.
Oh, that happens all the time. You just do it.
You just do it. LED wall fails mid-show. Do you restart from the beginning or just roll with it?
Traditionally, you just have to run with it because you don't have time to start over.
Yeah.
So.
There's, I think, a lot more calibrating in LED walls than people come to realize.
Yeah, and I think part of it also is, right, going back to what our mission is. If our mission is to tell a story, usually there's more than one LED wall. And it also depends. Did the LED wall fail itself and you still have one side up and you have you limp to the end? I would love to say I've never limped to the end at the end of the show, but a lot of times what really happens on an LED wall is like a Tetris-sized L will appear in the middle of the show. We're all sitting there like this. Like, is it going to get worse? Is it going to grow? Are there going to be more? But I mean, it really comes down to did we convey the message that we needed to? Absolutely. And so at all cost, we try to limp through and even try to make light of it. And it's not like everybody knows it's an accident, but sometimes we had a power outage at a show once, and the speaker was like, "Can I just keep going?" And we opened the doors to the lobby, and the light came in, and in a dark room, acoustic, we were just all quiet and listening, but he still got a story told. So that's the goal. That
is the goal. I remember I was at a Pink concert last year down in Missoula, and one of the tiles on her backstage went out, and like me as the person like couldn't stop looking at the one tile. I was just like, oh, their hearts are breaking right now. But like, I don't think anyone else even noticed.
Sometimes you see the hand come through and the tile come through, and then someone else, like it's like the old Boston Fenway Park when they changed the score.
Yeah.
And the tile goes in and it pops on and it's blue or green, and then it magically looks good. And you're like, oh, you're moving on.
Yeah, they fixed
Nobody remembers.
Again, I think it's the bigger picture. Like, is one tile or a section of a tile really going to make or break, the message?
Our industry is so focused on it has to be perfect, right? If you look at the list of jobs that are high stress, actually event planning is always very high on certainly the U.S. list. And it's a reminder, shit happens. Things break.
Yeah.
And every time I do a stand-up pitch, I say two things. I say, if you're looking for a company that is perfect or people that are perfect, we're not your humans. If someone promises you the gear is always going to work, we're not your humans. I will tell you we're the best troubleshooters out there because shit happens all the time. Like a cable gets run over by a forklift or cut or whatever, And in those moments, sometimes the levity actually reduces the stress. And it really depends on how you've chosen your clients and how you're managing them.
I've always said it's how you recover, not necessarily how you perform, and especially in our space. I mean, there's something's always going to go wrong. Like I've said this in many podcast episodes and in life that like when things are going too smooth, I'm always like waiting for the shoe to drop. Yeah, because something always happens.
This episode of Event About It is brought to you by Eventney, the event management platform that makes it easy to run your event without losing your mind or your volunteers. My favorite thing about the Eventney platform is the godsend of a volunteer management system. You can recruit, schedule, communicate, and check in volunteers all in one place. Gone are the days of spreadsheets, frantic texts, or disappearing sign-up sheets. It's like giving your volunteers a home base and giving yourself a break. And for those of you juggling multiple events, they've got a copy-paste feature that lets you clone past events like magic. No more starting from scratch. Event About It listeners get an exclusive $500 off a pro annual plan. Just click on that link in the show notes to claim it. The offer is only good for a limited time, so get your event in order and your volunteers information with Eventney.
Okay, a couple more. It's 95 degrees. The outdoor stage has no shade, but the show must go on.
Candidly, you have to make the artist happy. We'll talk about safety, I'm sure. Like, I am a total safety nerd. So, 95 degrees, if you go to weather school, you learn that the temperature and the miles per hour that's on the app, the consumer app on your phone doesn't tell you the whole story. If it's 95 degrees and I have no water for the fans, and the humidity levels are off the charts and people are fainting, we stop the show all day long. Like, no show is worth hurting people for. Back to the stress of what we do, there are people that don't, and insurance companies that don't, necessarily want to cancel and have to give refunds and things like that. If patron safety, artist safety, crew safety is ever in jeopardy, like I'm looking at my weather software right now, always, because we're in Montana. Lightning pops up all the time. We pull people off the load-in and stop shows on a regular basis to keep people safe. So it sucks, but it's the right thing to do.
Absolutely. Safety is always the right answer. I mean, no questions asked. All right, couple more. The sponsor's CEO wants to demo their new app live, but it's still in beta.
If you're at a place where you are okay with the sponsors being prevalent, like I'll tell you that on this show, there are certainly sponsors of this show. You will be hard pressed to see very much sponsorship. We don't put many big banners up. There's no stages called that. So on a show like this, I would say no, only because we don't do it for anybody. The sponsors don't have anything to do with the stage. Our stages are authentic. They're titled, a Big Mountain stage because it's below Big Mountain, and Great Northern because it's in the South. Go figure. If I were in a demo, for example, and I was, at an association, and really it comes down to less my brand name or my customer's brand name, but the sponsor's brand name at that point. And I think it's knowing your customer, what their tolerance for that is, and can they handle it? Like, if this crashes on stage, do you have a plan?
Well, I think that's the next question is like, technically, yes, we could do it, but are you proficient as the CEO of this company and prepared for, like, if it fails, that's probably way worse than if it goes right.
Are you right? Because sometimes those become, they say that all news is good news. Like, if you handle it well and you have a great time and crack up, sometimes that's better for you. Like, those turn out to be kind of almost great moments. Yeah. Not everybody.
Not every CEO has the personality to handle that, for sure. Okay, last one. You discover the LED wall vendor has been using your power distro to charge their phones. There's actually a really funny meme about this too that just makes me laugh every time.
I mean, see, the beauty of this is these are all real world. Like, nothing you've said is outside of the realm of possibility, and most of them have actually happened. Well, I just go up and unplug it, first of all, do the show. And then I go talk to my team about why they left plugs out and exposed where people can do that. We were doing a corporate show in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur. And I was sitting next to the D3 op, our media server operator, and I was just working on my computer. And I hear, hey, the stream just went down. The stream just went down. Luiso is saying, he looks around, and, we can't figure out why we lost power. And it later turns out that his phone, he plugged into a power adapter that shorted out the power strip and killed the whole stream. And so you have these moments where sometimes it's not even the sponsor; it's us.
Yeah.
And it's like I look at him and I'm like, really, like. So.
Bound to happen. All right. Well, that was fun. Thank you for playing Cue It or Screw It. I think for the most part, you said cue it. There, you are the man who doesn't say no. I love it.
No is not my favorite word.
I love it. Well, now I know the secret of the show imaging is C, so we know where to go when we're looking for yes.
Right.
All right. My next segment is my favorite. It's our favorite therapy session, the vent of the week. This is where you get to let it out. The event failed, unexpected chaos, are you kidding me moment, no filter, no sugarcoating. What irks you about the events world?
The words I told you. I told you that. Did you? Did you really tell me that the format of the screen was, 4K? It was supposed to be.
Are you an in writing guy? It's got to be in writing. CYA, like if it's not in writing, it didn't happen.
I'd love to say I am. Like we're a pretty structured company. I mean, the joke is we were just chatting before we started. There are a ton of things that annoy me, but I also, again, older. Like I'm in my 50s now, so the joke is I was indignant, Steve. I mean. Anybody that ever sees this from my team will be like, you're still indignant, Steve. Like, I definitely have indignance. I know what I like and I know what I don't. And as much as I'd like to say we're a totally rigid, structured company, we have lots of structures. Unlike many companies that are sort of in there, between 10 and 20 years old, we're still developing and learning. The I told you so is such a passive-aggressive, like, it doesn't solve anything, right? Like, in the moment, I don't want to talk about what we're going to do next time. What I want to talk about is how we're going to solve the problem right now to where we have the tools we need and then we get to the place where the show is great. And then afterwards we can sit down and say, did we have a communication gaffe or like whatever. And sadly, most people's default is to go into a place of self-defense about how it happened. I'm like, that serves no purpose right now. Right? Yeah. So, and that ties to so many of the other sort of things that annoy you about things, because it all comes back to communication, always. And in that moment, I really am trying to build a company. Again, I've said like the focus is less about being perfect. The information flow is like, it's insurmountable. When you think about where we are right now, we're in a city we're in a valley that has 50, 60,000 people that live here. And sure, there's a Costco a half an hour away. I can get most things, but one of my favorite stories is Taylor, our technical director on this show 2 years ago, walked in and he said, so if I told you that we forgot the head blocks to the video towers, does that stress you out? Now, a head block, if you're not technical, we build these structures and we build truss towers.
It's pretty critical.
Right? Like you run the motors through it and they ride up the truss and they pick up all the heavy stuff. And without the head blocks, like you have no tower, no show, no video screens. And so, he and I sort of joke about that a lot because he's amazing. But like what it really came down to is the authentic nature of I have a problem and we're going to solve this together. And in Montana, there's no head block store around the corner. There's no production resource group that has a 500,000 square foot warehouse full of everything you need. So now we're talking about, checking 30-inch by 30-inch head blocks onto Southwest and flying them up here. And it all comes back down to, instead of I told you so, like, hey, you know what? I forgot to tell you this. Or I did this and I made a mistake. Or this broke. And, looking at, many of us have the word integrity in our core values, right? Our core values, integrity, grit, heart, teamwork. It kind of spells out right? Respect, integrity, grit, heart, teamwork. And everybody says integrity, right? And that's a really hard one because it's hard to not tell white lies when you're pressed up against the wall. And like, I know that as a company, we still do it in the moments of like, okay, this is happening. How are we communicating this to the customer? I really like to come to the table like, hey, this broke. This is what we're going to do to fix it. And not say, oh, I told you that it was going to be, this size screen. Instead of saying, this was supposed to be a 65-inch TV. All I have is a 55. We made a mistake. We're going to do this and we're going to try to fix it. Yeah. And I do think that that's different. I mean, that's truly why we ultimately started the company, was to be a company that could be kind and fun and kind of live in a space that wasn't led by arrogance and holding, the technical world. Many people think I'm the only one that knows how to do this technical thing, and so they hold it above their customer. We're much more a company that wants to share that with a customer and say, we could do this with an LED wall, but you only have one image to put up there. Why don't we just print you a banner? Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something that'll save you.
Solution driven as opposed to just always trying to sell and be the smartest person in the room. It's time to event about it. The part of the show where you get to spill the tea on a memorable event moment. So we want to hear all the chaos. What is your story? You've been around so many shows, so many talents. I'm sure you have some good ones.
Beginning of the company was just me in my garage, and then I met a guy named Mark Lopez, who I know you know.
Yeah.
And Mark was a student at the University of San Diego, so we were producing, their concerts, kind of helping. And he and I met. He was working at La Costa, sort of as an event manager, and he's like, "Hey, I know you're doing this thing. I kind of want to help." And at the time, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I sort of thought I wanted to be really a kind of a freelance TD. I swore I was never going to own equipment. But that's the other joke in the company is anytime I say we're not doing it.
Like you were the first people to invest in LEDs.
Like it's just ridiculous. Anytime, the joke, people look to say, is he going to say we're not doing it? Oh, crap. He says we're not going to buy projectors. We're going to go buy projectors now, and it always happens. And so we get a call from an agency that we were working with that was doing, there was a rental bookstore company called Chegg.com. Their signature, they were college rental textbooks, and their signature was an bright orange box. So you logged on, you got your books, and they sent them in an orange box. Agency calls and says, we got a great one for you. We want to build the Guinness Book record-winning largest cardboard box. Being a cardboard expert, not. What do I know about cardboard?
Hey, you're the people who don't say no. So how do we build this?
It seemed to be a fitting story, right? And my friend at the time, my friend LJ, who lives in Toronto, was we're all scheming about this. He's like, I've got a vendor. We're going to design it. We looked up what the biggest box is. We beat it by a little bit. We come by and we identify what tape we're allowed to use and what materials we can use.
Oh yeah, those Guinness World Records, they are very particular.
Right? Hire the adjudicator to come in. Now, we're doing this in the Rose Bowl. So if you've been to the Rose Bowl is in the basin of Pasadena. The truck with the pre-printed orange box that we've given them instructions for shows up. And it's one 4x or 5x10 pallet. And it has about this many, the pallet is this many boxes high. Now we're talking about I can't remember what, it's a 40-foot wide by, 8 or 10 feet tall. It's not small. And I have this visual, we have this image, we're sitting here staring at this pallet going, when's the rest going to come? And I was in my mind, I thought, well, we're dead. This is
never getting the record.
It's never, ever going to happen. We, painstakingly get this thing sort of put together. Now, what happens in the Pasadena Valley at night is that the coastal dew settles nicely after the hot day. So you have hot cardboard, which was obviously way too thin because there was only a foot of it on the pallet. And then all of a sudden it starts to do kind of this and so we madly, using twine and tape that we're allowed to, send people under the stage into the middle to start. Sort of get the logo on there, and then someone says, call the adjudicator. He landed. See if he'll come to adjudicate it now. And so he comes over with his tape measure and a ladder, and he looks inside, and you look inside, and it looks like a spider web of all approved things. He measures it, and he says, I proclaim this the largest box. Now, what we didn't tell him is that we had to leave somebody inside the box the night before, sleeping in there because we were worried that it was going to collapse. End of the day, we got it.
Well, thank you so much for being here and letting me pick your brain today. That's all the time we have for. Thanks for joining another episode of Event About It, where we turned event mishaps into marketing gold. If you enjoyed the chaos, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone who needs a laugh. And don't forget to head to eventaboutitpodcast.com. Send us your events and stories to be featured on a future episode. And until next time, keep growing, keep laughing, and keep eventing about it.